Welcome to today's lesson where we're going to discuss the differences between prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So to begin with, I want to talk about prefixes and suffixes. The prefix pro means before, and the prefix eu means true. If we put that together with the suffix karyon for karyotes, which means kernel, we get before a kernel or a true kernel. Prokaryotes before kernel are cells that do not have a nucleus, a center piece that they are calling this kernel piece. Okay, the center piece of the cell being the nucleus, and so it's before a kernel, so it doesn't have a nucleus. So prokaryotes are cells that do not have a nucleus, and we have true kernel for eukaryotes. So they're cells that have a true nucleus. So the nucleus inside the center of the cell, and that contains all of the DNA. So some of our differences between prokaryotes and eukaryotes. First of all, our prokaryotes have no nucleus, which is right in the name, prokaryote, before kernel. They also do not have membrane-bound organelles, which you see right here. Membrane-bound organelles, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, would be mitochondria, chloroplast. Some of them might have small chloroplast-like structures, but not exactly. They also don't have endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, anything that has a membrane around it, a prokaryote is not going to have. Prokaryotes are always unicellular. You will never see a multicellular prokaryote. So prokaryotes are always unicellular because they can't function at a high enough level to be able to communicate amongst the cells. Okay? And finally, the genetic information in a prokaryote is contained within the space called the cytoplasm, okay? And so that's just within the cell itself, okay? And it's something called a plasmid. A plasmid is a single strand, somewhat like a rubber band. It's going to be circular in shape, and it's going to be a single strand of DNA. So, a prokaryote has no nucleus, has no membrane-bound organelles. It's always going to be unicellular, and the genetic information is contained within the cytoplasm in a structure called a plasmid. Eukaryotes, on the other hand, have some slightly different structures. First of all, the eukaryotes do have a nucleus and membrane-bound organelles. Okay, they do have those. Their DNA is contained within the nucleus, and that keeps it separate from the rest of the cell. Okay, it's not in this circular structure anymore. It's in lots of string-like structures. And so keeping it away from the rest of the cells, the rest of the pieces of the cell, actually keeps it from breaking and having issues. So the DNA is kept separate from the rest of the cell. Most eukaryotic cells are actually highly specialized. They have special functions within the cell. The cells can actually function either by themselves or in conjunction with other cells. And organisms who are eukaryotes could be either unicellular or multicellular. So, basics, if you're going to look at a cell and you don't know the difference if it's a prokaryote or eukaryote, the one thing you're going to be looking for is a nucleus. If it does not have a nucleus, it's going to be a prokaryote. If it does have a nucleus, it's going to be a eukaryote. So there's some differences between your prokaryotes and your eukaryotes.